Julie, are we going to be old one day and accused by our kids of being an AIist?
I mean, number one, we already are old. And by AIist, do you mean like ageist?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes. Like, this scares me a bit. Let me give you an example. Your son or daughter comes home and tells you that their new partner is AI generated. And am I going to be that asshole for having trouble supporting them in that?
No, they're the assholes. I'd be like, you're not fucking bringing a hologram to Thanksgiving. Go get a real partner.
God, but then I'm like, is this where our age is showing? Is this the future? But we're not there yet. We don't need to go there yet.
No, I mean, that's like tinfoil on your head when you go outside sort of thinking. I don't think we're anywhere close to that, but I also don't think we're way off.
Agree.
Ay, ay, ay. Okay. Well, listeners, remember, Midlife Confidential is powered by your anonymous sharing, allowing us to bring hard but important topics into the light. Unless you quit social after our 2-part episode on social media in midlife, please follow us on Instagram so you'll know when our next poll drops. Also, friends, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you're listening to. Like, seriously, hit pause, click subscribe. We will not go anywhere. Seriously, though, this really helps us get the word out and keep bringing these important topics to you all.
Thanks in advance for liking and sharing. Okay, well, let's get into this week's topic where we anonymously polled our audience on their relationship with artificial intelligence. Because let's face it, you cannot get through the day without AI being part of your day. So we are here for it. So let's share what we heard. First, we polled you on your usage. So 67% of you are using AI daily or multiple times a day. 22% of you shared you're using it frequently, and that's like a few times a week. And then 11% of you are using it infrequently or only when necessary. Now, let's talk about sentiment. How do you feel about AI? So we asked this question, and 56% of you, so more than half of you, have general positive sentiment, minor concerns about AI. 22% of you shared you're neutral, you're indifferent, you're not really sure. And then 11% of you said you're generally worried, you do have some reservations, followed by another 11% who said you are very concerned and alarmed. And so I think from this, the overall vibe of how midlifers are feeling about using AI is pretty positive. But what's really interesting is when you look past the raw numbers and start to dig into some of the awesome open-ended comments we got, a really interesting paradox emerged. There is kind of this distinct tug of war between the massive convenience of AI. I mean, man, I feel that, but also some pretty deep existential dread. So we're going to get into that.
Yeah, as I was looking through the data, Jenny, I really realized I don't know what I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much more to AI than just using it the way a couple of years ago or even now we use Google. But I guess before we get into that, I want to dig a little bit into the pros, how some of our listeners are using it. So sure, some people are using it for things like work presentations, making emails sound more polished, or my favorite, planning vacation itineraries. But the real gold is how people are using it as a private confidant. I love this one. One of our respondents confessed to something I think many of us can relate to. They wrote, I used it to analyze a fight my husband and I recently had. Where was he wrong? Where was he right? Same for me. Now, I love this, and I don't know about your experience with AI, Jenny, and using it for this type of thing, but I'm so curious to know, and we don't know, like, what was on the other side of that? Like, what did that analysis look like? Was it filled with confirmation bias? Because the person that's using the tool to ask questions, generally speaking, I think, is always hearing what he or she wants to hear. Is that your experience?
Definitely. I had this thought too. And yes, I think a lot of times the AI tools are going to err on the side of confirmation bias. They are sycophants. They want to please you. However, I do think that this user could change that based on their prompts. I think prompting is so important. It's a whole skill set. And so you can actually say to the AI, whatever you're using, analyze this argument, and I want you to really objectively tell me, what did I do wrong? What did my partner do wrong? So I do think that you can coach the AI to not just please you. But I think without that knowledge and without embedding that into your prompt, I do think it's going to just tell you what you want to hear, or it might default to telling you what you want to hear. So how valuable is that in that case?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point.
I mean, when I read this, I was thinking, "Oh, man, I wanna try that." But then I was thinking that I would be mad if the AI does tell me that, I was wrong or really points out my faults. So, great in theory. I'm not sure. Like, would you try this? Would you give this a shot?
I definitely would. It's funny. I have a friend who was writing a prompt for something, and she actually put in the prompt, call me out on my bullshit. I forget what the plan was for, if it was, a wellness plan or a fitness plan, but it was something like, I'm not going to do half of this, so please call me out on my bullshit, which I thought was really good.
It could be really helpful to see our blind spots and to get a free or relatively free objective opinion about, our deep rooted issues. And so interesting stuff. I want to share another positive that we heard from our respondents was using AI to ask all of their anxiety questions because, a chatbot, it doesn't judge you. It doesn't get tired of your late night ruminating and overthinking. And, whether you're asking about medical symptoms for your kids or for yourself, or you're trying to write, a tricky comms, it is an instant judgment-free sounding board, and I think that's pretty cool.
I think so too. And I have a but here. It worries me that, well, two things. Well, a lot of things worry me, but in particular around this example, like it's becoming, or it has the potential to become, a substitute for real licensed medical or psychological expertise, number one. Number two, it's always missing context
Mhm.
and a greater perspective or picture. And number three, I actually forget what number three was.
It was good. It was a good
I
point.
really
Okay,
forget.
well, actually, Julie, let me ask you a question, though, because you make a great point. What are your thoughts, though, on what if the alternative is not doing anything? So, yes, it's missing context and
Hmm,
it's not a good replacement. Like, I'm thinking about the medical questions. Like, it's best to go to your doctor. But what about these situations where without the AI, you're doing nothing? You
totally.
know?
Yes. Yes. I absolutely agree and would concede that something is better than nothing, right? Somebody who's does not like being vulnerable, does not want to ask for help, but is feeling really overwhelmed and really burnt out, that if AI can help them with, coping mechanisms and different tools, then in that case, I would look at it as a modality, but not the only modality. So I guess, yeah, it's a tool in the toolbox, and it's not the only tool. Like in of itself is not the toolbox.
I love that. I
That
love
makes
that. And I
sense.
think it depends on the context too. And I think a real serious medical issue, not the response. Never the
Yeah,
best solution.
totally. And I think that it kind of also, it depends, like everything, on the personality of the person who is prompting it. Because I think, like any new tool, we can all sort of lean into it too heavily. And what happens when we lean into it too heavily? We're not using our brains. We're not thinking for ourselves. We're outsourcing judgment, thinking on our feet, intuition. All that stuff just sort of falls apart, I think, if we over rotate on the help here. You agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think about this a lot. And our listeners do too. In fact, one listener responded to the poll, put it very succinctly. She wrote, I'm concerned about my own brain. My own critical thinking has taken a nosedive because Claude is my first place to start, sadly. And that word sadly just really jumps out at you because I think it takes a lot of self awareness to realize that outsourcing our thinking to a computer while incredibly efficient and in many cases the easy button that we all desperately need, especially right now in midlife when we are so being pulled in every direction. It might be making our own brains and our own minds become a little rusty, and that concerns me.
Okay, yes. And how about this? So, what happens after years and years and years of conversations between you and your AI agent about everything from, meal planning and trip planning and productivity to fights with your partner to parenting advice? Like, where is all this data being aggregated? And what is the world? Because I have nobody else. I'm not sure what entity this would be. Like, what is the universe, the world doing with that data to run you? That's the part that freaks me out.
Same, same. And you know what it is? It's not the world, it's these for-profit companies. So it's a lot of rich, powerful people that are going to be doing the stuff. And I know a lot of people are concerned about this. And I think there's a lot of work that we're trying to do to get ahead of it. But also, the technology is innovating and transforming at such a fast pace that it's so much faster than our ability to wrap our heads around what the impact is going to be. And that's scary. And God, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, you share a lot more with your AI pal than you did with Google. I'm not saying you, but all right, I can say for myself. I
Mhm.
assume I'm not alone in that I go a lot deeper. I share a lot more with AI than I ever did with Google. So the amount of data and information they have on me in even just a short period of time is mind blowing.
Let's talk about learning. One of our respondents was a college professor, and she wrote in saying that she worries her students are using it to do all of their work, completely bypassing the actual process of learning. So if we're not learning how to think critically, what happens when you hit the workforce? I can speak for both of us, Jenny. We're raising our kids during this massive AI transformation. And I personally have a lot of fear around the unknown impact that this technology is going to have on their future and how they learn.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm starting to see it now. And I think, the future concerns are not just for our kids. I think the other major shadow hanging over us is the impact that AI has on our careers as midlifers because midlife is traditionally when your experience is your shield. You've spent decades building your expertise, and traditionally that's where we start to really bring value to the organizations that we work for. But several of our respondents captured this very real shift that we're seeing in the workplace where they feel that almost no job, unless it's a trade, so there are some jobs that still feel safe, but who knows what will happen in the future. No job is safe from being replaced or significantly reduced by AI. So there's this looming massive shift in our career security for, I think, midlifers who are in most cases more seasoned professionals. It's hard to grapple with.
Totally. And I have another example of somebody in academia, another college professor, who was talking about the medical field and how she's really struggling to teach and support her students who are trying to AI their way to a degree. Now, this is in the medical field. So think about that for a second. If a student is heavily leaning on AI to graduate, and then all of a sudden that person is responsible for somebody else's life, or medical needs, like that's really scary.
Yeah, yeah. The medical field, I agree, is especially scary. And I think it just brings up this dichotomy between there's so much good that can come of this and also so much harm that could come. And I think about, AI might be able to find cures to diseases. So, like, in that case, like, wow, imagine if in 10 years we've cured all cancer because AI is able to do that. And then on the flip side, we have medical professionals who've AI'd their way through med school and are really ill prepared to serve their patients. So both things can be true. I think we're seeing, both ends of the spectrum, and the possibilities are both exciting and also really scary.
Okay. Okay. I actually have a funny story related to kids and AI. we're big around here on our kids making homemade cards for the other parents for birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day. And so for my birthday recently, my children made cards for me, and one of my kiddos very clearly used AI to help. It was a beautifully written card. The prompts that she put in were amazing. Like, my first thought was to be irritated. Like, you couldn't have gotten out your markers and a pen and a paper. But the card was adorable, and it was filled with so many different things about me worked into a very whimsical, lovely message. But I was like, this is adorable that you did this. However, next time we're going to go back to construction paper and marker and pens. And oh, by the way, you completely messed up on multiple points because AI had no idea what you were talking about when it related to my, Boston accent versus Texas accent that you have in here.
It's just making me think that like there are parts of this that are awesome. I think, especially for our kids, like this is a skill that they are going to need in the future. So I love that they're embracing this and they're trying things out because again, this is a skill. You're not going to be successful in the future if you aren't able to work with AI. I think it's coming. It's here. But
Yeah.
at the same time, being able to proofread and being able to like adjust and add your own stuff to it is another skill of working with AI. And so it feels like, they've got part of it, but there's still parts of
Yeah.
it that need some massaging.
Totally. Totally. So I think in summary, at least from our listeners and our respondents, our midlifers aren't tech-phobic. They're just hyper aware of those trade-offs. I think I speak for all of us when I say we love the efficiency, we love the instant answers at our fingertips, and having that like secret judgment-free assistant right in our pockets. But again, I think we're all deeply protective of our critical thinking, our kiddos' education, and our livelihoods.
Well said. So we're gonna transition to just sharing some of our AI wins and our AI failures because you all shared so many great examples of things that you're doing, and Julie and I are also doing some things. So we thought let's pay it forward and share. So I can start, and I'll share some examples of where AI has been really helpful for me as a midlifer, and then some cautionary tales. So I work for a tech company. In fact, I work for essentially an AI company. So AI is very much a part of my day job, and that has really bled into my personal life. And I will say, as far as my own rating, I am very pro AI. I'm skeptical in some areas, but I see a lot of good. I see a lot of potential with it. The two things that have been really helpful for me, one is just managing my life. And part of being a working mom is figuring out how I'm going to feed my family every day in like the 20 minutes that I have to meal prep and get food on the table. And so I have created a gem, which is essentially an agent inside Google Gemini that is trained on all of my requirements. Like I want quick and easy meals. I want them to be healthy. It knows foods that I want to avoid. It knows, my daughter can be a bit of a picky eater, things that she won't eat. And I basically have it generate meals for me every week. And for the most part, they've been really easy and really good. They've been crowd pleasers. And the best part is that the mental load of me having to figure out every week what recipes to make, what to put on my shopping list, like that is gone. I just let the AI do the job and it's been a huge time saver for me.
Okay. 2 questions. Number 1, is it free to use the gem to create an agent, or is it just part of being a Google person?
That's a great question. I don't know because we are a very Google family and my husband has set up on some type of account. So it might be free to do this. It's free to it's free to use Gemini. Let me say it's free to use Gemini, but to create a gem or an agent, it might be on one of their pro plans, but I can tell you we do not pay a lot for this. So it might be like $100 a year, let's say, gives us a little bit additional access, but it's not like we're paying $30 a month for some pro account. So if you're interested, DM me, let me know. I will get you set up on this.
I love it.
So, one more easy pro. My mom got this new eye pencil and we couldn't figure out how to sharpen it. It didn't look like a regular eyeliner pencil and we were both baffled by this. So, took a picture of the eye pencil, plugged it into, I think we were using Claude and said, how do I sharpen this? And it literally pulled up the exact eye pencil, the brand, everything, and gave us step-by-step instructions. And it turns out it was pretty obvious how to do it, but the way the pencil was shaped, it didn't look like you could put it into a sharpener.
Hmm.
And it was just instant. I didn't have to Google it. I didn't have to find the product manual. It was like, I know what this is. Here you go. So that was a huge win. My mom still talks about it.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there. Because in that example, though, if you applied that to lots of other things, like not you, but society in general, you would never try anything first.
He did try, Julie.
Okay.
We stuck it in the pencil thing, but then the way it looked, we were worried we were going to ruin it because
Okay.
again, it didn't look like it was a pencil. It looked like it was ink. So yeah, I get your point. I get your point. But sometimes, at least in my case, when I try things, I fuck them up. And so
Yeah, I know.
I guess I should read the manual, but who has time for that? So this to me was like a little workaround from having to like find a manual sounds weird for an eye pencil, but like a piece of technology. If I can't figure it out, I don't want to go read a manual. I want to take a screenshot and be like, my computer won't turn on. What do I do?
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
Okay.
Plus you'd have to go find your readers to be able to read the
Oh my
tiny
God.
instructions.
Oh my God.
Your
Don't even get me.
1.25s.
Don't even get me started. If you don't know what we're talking about, go onto our Instagram channel and you will see my embarrassing admission of my reader situation. Okay, quick cautionary tale is that I have used it for like itinerary planning, and we did a little food tour in Boston, and I had AI create all these places that we would go to. When I do this, occasionally the place that it sends us to is closed or no longer exists or moved away 20 years ago, sending us on a wild goose chase. So I think, it's just lesson learned. You have to double check the work and you can't rely solely on AI to plan your itinerary.
That's a good one.
All right, Julie, what do you got?
Okay. I will say, I feel like I've barely scratched the surface. I will say, where it has been helpful, one thing that's coming to mind is when we've done any kind of a contract or home renovation, or we're looking at proposals, sometimes we've uncovered some things that were not very homeowner friendly. So it's been really helpful with things like that.
Wow. I like that. I imagine too, it summarizes for you because sometimes those contracts are like 20 pages long. Does it kind of put it into human speak for you?
Yes, yes. And we would ask questions like, is it standard business practice for most contractors to, do X, Y, and Z when they're not using subcontractors? And we would get a lot of really good cautionary intel. So it was invaluable, I think, during that process.
That's really good. I like that a lot. And I
Mhm.
can see it being used for a lot of different purposes. That's a good tip.
Yeah. And then I would say everything you said, meal planning, vacation itineraries, any sort of aggregation has been helpful. I don't have too many cautionary tales, although I will say every time somebody sends an AI generated image, my eyes immediately go to like the missing finger or like the third eye. So check your work when you're using AI to generate a whimsical photo because there's always something fucked up about it.
It's almost like a game, like spot the weird thing in this
Yes.
AI-generated photo. I mean, I think that's a really great takeaway from all of this is that AI is a tool. It is not meant to replace us. And so it's going to do its job, but then we as humans, we need to do our job. We need to proof, we need to validate, we need to put it in our own language, we need to edit. And I will say there is always a tell. I always know when someone on my team is using AI to write content because there's an M dash.
Dash, what is
Okay. And M dash is like that longer dash, to be honest. I don't even know how to pull it up on my keyboard, but AI loves an M dash. It's EM dash.
that? Is it the long dash or
Yes.
literally EM dash?
No, you'll see the long dash. So, but the long dash is called an M dash, and most people don't use it when they write, but AI loves it. And I'm always like, yep, that was AI generated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just heard about the M dash over the weekend, so now I'm going to be looking for it in all of my communications.
You're going to see it everywhere now. I warned you.
Yeah. We're going to have to do follow-ups on this one because I suspect that if we were to do this podcast a year from now, 2 years from now, this ride is going to be wild.
Yes. In fact, let's let's schedule 1 year out. Let's do a recap. And Julie, we're going to be laughing at ourselves because our kids are going to have AI partners at that point, and we're going to be okay with it because that's how quickly this stuff is changing. And we're going to be laughing at ourselves from last year that we were so uncool with it.
I mean, I'm probably not even going to physically be there. It's going to be my AI persona will be showing up virtually to this meeting with you or whomever you choose to send as your delegate.
I love it. All right. We'll revisit in a year if we'll
Yeah.
even be here.
Yeah. All right. Okay, listeners. Well, that is all we have time for today. Keep an eye out for our next poll that's coming out. This one's going to be another juicy one. It's all about spending, debt, and money.
Mm.
So poll our audience on how much debt people are really in and whether or not their significant others really have visibility into that. So it's going to be a good one.
We've gotten so many requests for this, so I'm very excited for this one and to reveal the insights.
Same, same. And don't forget to follow us or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to follow us on socials so you don't miss any of this.
And we will see you next time for your reality check. So until then, keep your secrets safe unless you're telling us.